Hi, this is Kelly Monroe, and I'd like to welcome you to TSP and your RMD. This federal retirement tip is brought to you by Project Prepare to Retire. For more federal retirement tips, tools, and resources, visit us at www.p2rproject.com. Patty Practice needs to calculate her 2015 Required Minimum Distribution, or RMD, from her TSP. Last year, Patty took an extra withdrawal from her TSP that was above and beyond her required minimum distribution. Can Patty apply the excess distribution from last year to her RMD in 2015? That is false. Patty may not apply the excess distribution she took last year to this year's RMD. Let's take a closer look at how your TSP and RMD work together. Required, that is by law. Minimum, at least this amount. And distribution, of course, money received from your TSP or other retirement accounts that comes to you. Required minimum distribution. Generally, RMDs are the minimum amount that a retirement account owner, like TSP, must withdraw annually starting at age 70 and a half, or, if later, the year in which he or she retires. Does that paragraph leave you feeling a little perplexed, a little confused? Maybe your eyebrows are knitting together and you're thinking, what does that mean? Let's take a visual look at what this means to you. Do all retirement accounts have required minimum distribution? The answer is most retirement accounts do. TSP has an RMD, as does a TSP Roth. So do 401k, 403b, and 457 accounts, as well as traditional IRA, SEP IRA, and simple IRA. There is one account that doesn't have a required minimum distribution. Roth IRAs do not have an RMD as long as you're the account owner and not a beneficiary. Happy 70 and a half birthday to you. Eddie Example here turns 70 on January 10th. He'll celebrate his 70 and a half birthday on July 10th. This year, Eddie will have his first RMD from his TSP and other retirement accounts. Now, your first RMD has a special rule of when you can take it, and you have a choice. Eddie Example here could take his RMD at any time in the year he turns 70 and a half, or he could delay that RMD and take it by April 1st the following year. Again, Eddie could take his first RMD the year in which he turned 70 and a half, or he could take his first RMD the following year by April 1st. But if he does that, then he'll have to take a second RMD for that year, and he'll end up taking 2 RMDs in 1 year, which could total up to 8% or more of his account value. Each year after this, Eddie will take an RMD yearly for the rest of his life. There is an exception to this rule, and that exception applies only to TSP and Roth TSP. If you are actively employed as a federal employee at age 70 and a half or older, you can delay taking your first RMD from TSP until after you retire or separate from service. Let's take a look at this exception as an example. Here, Eddie example is working. He turns 70 and a half and he continues to work, and maybe he decides to retire this year. Now, because Eddie was over 70 and a half and still working, he could delay his first RMD from TSP. But as soon as he retires, he now must take his first RMD from TSP. Now remember, there's a special rule when it comes to your first RMD. You can take it in the year in which you retired in this case, or Eddie could delay it until April 1st of the following year. This only applies to your TSP and Roth TSP if you're an active federal employee. This exception does not apply to a traditional IRA, any other 401ks you may have, 403b, 457 plans, or any other retirement account. This only applies to the TSP Roth TSP. Can you withdraw more than your RMD? Yes, you can. It's up to you to decide how much you withdraw. Can you apply that excess distribution to next year's RMD? I think you know what the answer is. No, you may not do that. What if you don't want to take your RMD? Or what if you forget? You could be subject to a 50% tax on the amount not withdrawn. Okay, so how do I calculate my RMD? Your RMD is calculated by dividing your TSP or retirement account balance on December 31 of the year prior by an age factor based upon your age on December 31 of that year. So it's the retirement account balance the year prior and the age you'll be on December 31 of that year. And who's responsible for your required minimum distributions accuracy? Is it TSP? Is it your IRA custodian? Is it the 403b custodian? Who is it? It's you. You are responsible for the accuracy of your required minimum distribution and the withdrawal of it in a timely manner. First step in calculating your RMD is to select the proper IRS table to determine your age factor. There are 3 tables to select from. Let's take a look at the most commonly used table. It's called the Uniform Lifetime Table. It is used by people who are single or people who are married and meet one or more of these qualifications. If you're married and your spouse is not 100% primary beneficiary on your retirement account, or if your spouse is not more than 10 years younger than you. The Joint and Last Survivor table is used by people who meet all 3 qualifications. You are married, and your spouse is sole beneficiary or 100% primary beneficiary, and your spouse is more than 10 years younger than you. The third table is called the Single Life Expectancy Table, and it is only used by beneficiaries of retirement accounts. It is not used by retirement account owners. Let's take a look at a case study. It's 2015 in January, and Patty Practice wants to calculate her 2015 RMD on her TSP. Patty is retired, and her spouse is 2 years older than she. That information is going to help us select the right IRS lifetime table. Patty's date of birth is March 26, 1944, and her TSP balance the year prior on December 31 is $376,401. Let's look at the 4 steps to this practice calculation worksheet. Step 1. Let's use this practice calculation worksheet to calculate Patty's RMD for 2015. There are 4 steps. Step 1 is to establish how old Patty will be, what her age is, on December 31, 2015. Her date of birth is March 26, 1944. Patty will be 71 years young. Step 2. What is her age factor on the Uniform Lifetime Table? She'll be 71 and her age factor is 26.5 years. Third step, her TSP balance on December 31, the year prior in 2014, $376,401. Fourth step, we'll do the math. We're going to divide Patty's TSP balance by her age factor, which is going to give us her annual RMD for 2015. Patty can choose to take this on a monthly basis, or she can take a one-time lump sum payment for the year. She must complete this RMD distribution by December 31, 2015. Let's take a look at the summary. Patty's RMD for her TSP is $14,204. That's rounded up. This is an annual amount for 2015. She must take her required minimum distribution by December 31, 2015, or face a possible 50% IRS penalty. Patty must contact TSP to initiate her RMD. Each year, Patty will calculate her required minimum distribution based on her age on December 31 of that year, and she'll use the Uniform Lifetime Table because her spouse is not more than 10 years younger than she is. And she'll use her retirement account balance on December 31 of the previous year. If Patty has other accounts, she'll need to calculate each RMD separately. See IRS Publication 590B for further information. Once again, this federal retirement tip was brought to you by Project Prepare to Retire. For more retirement tips, tools, and resources just for federal employees, visit www.p2rproject.com.